I didn't even have time to get the camera set up before we caught our first one. So nice, probably about 7-8 pound female. We'll get some good pictures, get her back in the water, and I'll break down for you guys what we're doing. Hey everybody, it's Jay at Ball Blue Days Outdoors. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. This is gonna be, I guess, hopefully the first and hopefully not the last steelhead video that I make for the year. But you know, I think in like a lot of places, the water levels are extremely low, just in general all over the place. And unfortunately, the river that I do most of my steelhead fishing in with the nitro is the Grand River in downtown Grand Rapids, and the water's about 2.5 feet lower than I've ever fished it before in the nitro. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna walk you guys through my setup, just how easy it is to actually troll for steelhead. This is maybe a little bit not the common way, because a lot of people that do fish for steelhead, they throw flies or they throw spawn. But one of my absolute favorite ways is actually backdropping Hottentots or crankbaits. So some sort of crankbait, some sort of body bait. But what I wanna do is just break down my setup. I don't know if we're actually gonna be able to fish tomorrow because the water is so shallow. But if you do get a chance to go on a river system, this is how I grew up fishing the Muskegon and the Grand. When I used to do a lot of bank fishing back in college, this is what I used to bank fish, and I caught a lot of fish. And the other ways to use, you know, spawn and flies, I mean, those ways work great. I know a lot of guys actually catch them at night using teardrops with waxworms, and that works extremely well too. For me, my confidence baits are these Hottentots. And what I'll do is I'll break down for you my rod and reel, my line setup, and then tomorrow on the river I'll break down my trolling setup and just kind of how I work the boat and how we backdrop for these steelhead. Fingers crossed that we might be able to actually fish the river. I'm not sure. If we can't, then we'll probably go bass fishing tomorrow, maybe taking my father-in-law. But as far as your setup goes, I keep it really, really basic and really simple. So this is hands down my favorite combo to use. This is a 7-foot medium heavy Abu Garcia. This is the Vendetti rod. Really, really great action rod. I use this for a lot of applications. I use it for my blade baits. I use it for my topwater walking baits. I use it for my lipless crankbaits. I use it for casting for walleye, steelhead, bass. I use it for a lot of stuff. So I've got this paired with I think this is the Revo SX spinning reel. And then what I've learned over the years is that using braid actually works really, really good, because steelhead have hard mouths. And if you just use straight fluorocarbon or straight mono, there's too much stretch, I think. So using a braid to fluorocarbon leader is hands down like what I found best as far as getting good hookup ratios using this type of technique. So this is the, you guys know it, and you guys know I love this stuff. This is the pink camo Beyond Braid. This is the 10-pound test. And then I have roughly about a 6-foot leader of the 12-pound Beyond Braid fluorocarbon. And then what I do for my connection, I know it might be hard to see, but for my leader to braid connection, I actually put a barrel swivel. So I use these number 8 Gamakatsu barrel swivels. And the reason why I do that is because these steelhead, when they hit, they spin. These fish are so acrobatic. They're almost like a freshwater tarpon I compare them to. And I want to try to keep the line twist out as much as possible. So I put a barrel swivel. But what I do is I have about a 6-foot lead of fluorocarbon. And the problem is you got to be careful, because if you get too long of a lead, you don't want to reel that barrel swivel up into the eyelet when you're trying to net the fish, because you can blow your eyelets out. So, you know, that's the rod and reel combo setup. I have a really short rod right here. This is Pee-wee. This is actually a perch rod. Really, really short, ultralight. This is just adding a different level. I do have a 9-foot St. Croix rod here too that I use. So I'll have 4 rods in the back trolling at all times. And then as far as my baits, favorite colors, this brown trout color right here, this brown and orange brown trout color is just absolute like fire. I have a pile of these things, I think, in here. Yeah, you can see that's one of my favorite colors. Steelhead generally tend to like a lot more natural colors. Salmon, when they run in the fall, they like a lot of the greens, the pinks, the chartreuses. This is really kind of crazy colors, but what I typically find is that steelhead like a little bit more of the natural colors. So I'll use that brown trout color. I will also use a few other kind of go-to colors. And this is just what I've learned over the last, gosh, how long have I been steelhead fishing? I started fishing the Grand back in 97, I think it was. So 30 years? Yeah, I think it's 30 years, something like that, long time. But some of my go-to colors is this black and chrome, and then I put a pink dot. They used to make it, Storm used to make it with that pink dot on the belly. They don't anymore, so I'll paint a little pink dot on there. And then this copper, or not really copper, but this orange and white with this gold top has always been a really, really good color. And then rainbow, this is probably my go-to color that I have caught so many steelhead on over the years. They absolutely love this thing. This pink, or this Ghost Wonder Bread was really hot a couple years ago. Not sure if it's the water clarity or what, but man, they absolutely love this one. And then of course, you know, pink. I honestly think that the wiggle warts are probably the most popular lure to use for trolling for steelhead, whether you're East Coast or West Coast. And I know they do a lot of trolling for steelhead in the rivers with wiggle warts on the West Coast, and they do it over here, you know, on the East Coast, but it just seems like over on the West Coast it's more predominant. There's a couple other styles of baits. And then as far as size goes, I mostly use the 3/8 ounce this time of year when the water's a little bit warmer, in that upper 40s, maybe 45-degree temperature. I'll get away with like a 3/4 ounce. But as this water temperature gets into the upper 30s, I'll actually downsize my baits and go to that 3/8 size hot and top. So that's pretty much my setup. So we will hopefully see you guys on the water first thing in the morning. I'll show you guys my rod holder setup, how I use the Ultrex to troll the river. It is an absolute game changer, guys. Stay tuned. Hopefully we can get on some fish tomorrow, but if not, hopefully you're able to pick up a few things on if you do want to start steelhead fishing some of the lakes or some of the rivers here in Michigan or wherever you're at. Throwing hot and tots, trolling these crankbaits or casting these crankbaits is a really easy way to get into it, pretty inexpensive, and it is an absolute blast. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we can get on a few fish tomorrow morning.